Welcome back. My name is Eno Umoh, and I am a drone pilot turned consultant. And today I wanted to introduce you to a conversation that I had recently with a friend and colleague in the industry named Daniel Fuller. And Daniel is also a drone consultant that works with organizations that are looking to use drone technology and also working with companies who are looking to become more efficient with how they use drones. We had a chance to sit down at the Commercial UAV Expo in Vegas. And if you're not familiar with that conference, it's one of the biggest conferences that happens in the industry. And this year we actually had a chance to sit down and talk about drone consultancy, to talk about the future of drone business, some of the challenges that each of us go through, and really what it means to become a drone consultant. I've talked previously about the many differences between a drone service provider and a drone consultant. So I think this conversation will give you a lot of insight into just what it is that we do as consultants, how we go about marketing and building a great brand so that we can position ourselves to get more clients in the industry. So you'll hear some of the buzz that was going on at the conference, but most importantly, you'll get some of the tips and insights that you need to either start or grow your own drone consultancy as well. So we're gonna go right into the video, and if you're looking for more resources and ways that we can help, just go down in the description, and I really hope you enjoy the conversation. Hey everyone, my name is Eno Umoh. We are here live at the 2024 Commercial UAV Expo in Las Vegas. I'm here with Daniel Fuller. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we just wanted to, have a conversation about drone entrepreneurship, drone consultancy, what it means to grow a business and where the industry is right now. And just kind of give some keys and some tips on how to grow your business. So Daniel, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your story in the industry and how you got into the drone space?
Okay, yeah, great. Well, thanks for the opportunity to come and talk with you all.
Yeah.
So I got into drones in 2010, so pushing 15 years now.
Wow, yeah.
Got into it from enterprise computing and semiconductors prior to that, for 13, 14 years prior to that.
Yeah.
And started with a fairly large company that was primarily in the defense space.
Okay.
But focused on R&D. And the focus of our group was how do we use the existing platforms for more use cases. So that got me to put on a whole lot of hats, which I found I really enjoyed. Kind of put my engineering training and background with my business training and background together, because there's the technological side of that, but there's the business side.
Yeah.
And so I had to justify this use case because there's a business market there, find the technology and the partners for it, financial partners as well as technology partners, to put together a prototype, and then manage the integration, manage the flight testing, and get things going. And so that just taught me how to get really deep into the use case, because details matter.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how I got into it. Did that for 10 years. Went to a startup for a year after that for a while, and did North and South America business development. And it was a foreign company based in Australia, and just helping them reach North American markets. And what do customers here want? And they are different than in Australia. Maybe not, right? And we got to figure these things out. And localize everything and kind of try to get that up and going.
Gotcha.
During that time, my wife and I took on together a executive directorship of a nonprofit in Mexico. My wife's a midwife, and it was based in and around midwifery, and we worked on that, and just felt I was not able to spend enough time at it because I had a full-time job, and that was my commitment to that. But really wanted to focus more on this volunteer thing as well, and manage my time differently. And so went into the consulting side at that point to manage my time and still make a living. And so I got into that 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Started Clarify Consulting, and have been doing that now for the past 2.5 years.
Nice. Well, we're here obviously at the expo, and there's a lot of service providers, out there who are doing some great work. We have the big industries, construction, energy, ag, mining. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yep.
So maybe talk me through, why did you decide to focus on consultancy over being a service provider and kind of the operation side of things?
Sure. Yeah. No. Good question. So I went this path. It fit my expertise and my experiences more. It gave me kind of a better fit for myself, right?
Yeah.
And kind of what I had to offer.
Gotcha.
I have experience on the operational side, but I wanted to focus on the strategy and the helping go to market and product management fit. Little backstory: when I was at one of my companies as in an primarily engineering role, the business development guys would come and ask for my assistance a lot, and one of them started calling me the interpreter, or the translator as the term. Because I was that engineer that could speak to the customers, and then I could talk to the customers, then translate it back into engineer speak, right? Because I have training and experience in both sides. And turns out that's a thing. And so I really enjoy that space of understanding the business and the technology to apply to it and creating that solution. So that's what I focus on now. Gave me the opportunity to work with, doing consultancy, gave me an opportunity to kind of work with teams on moving different things forward, several at a time, and keep my hand in the mix. And I find also that as an independent, that's an asset to my clients, because I got my fingers in other things. And while we're not sharing any proprietary information, everything's siloed, of course, I still have my fingers in more pulses than somebody who's full-time in one company, right? You can easily get siloed in your company culture and your company roadmap and all that stuff. And so I'm able to provide that, and again, that's just kind of my bent and personality fit. So it worked really well. It gave me an opportunity as well to stretch my entrepreneurial legs and put some of my MBA training to work a little bit. Which I've been enjoying and struggling with all at the same time.
It's a constant learning journey. I mean, entrepreneurship is a journey, absolutely, and it takes time to develop on that side. I guess when it comes to like lead generation and marketing, I mean, how do you get clients as a consultant, right? Someone could probably be looking at this and just, maybe they want to make that leap to consultancy, but it's like, where do you even start? So,
Okay, well, shameless plug number one, www.clarifyconsultingllc.com. One place, right? Fairly simple website, but there's a location. LinkedIn would be my primary, primary location. I've been trying to get more active on there. Social media is not a natural thing for me. I don't do it personally. Learning the tricks, but it has been really productive. I do meet a lot of people. I've started a newsletter earlier this year, learning to write. As an engineer, not my forte, right? Learning those skill sets, learning to share opinions and thoughts and kind of how that works. And it's been really productive. I have received a lot of comments privately and some comments online, but more of them privately on hey, that was really good. That really helped me. Also, I've reviewed a few business proposals from other people and found my articles referenced in their business proposals. So that was a bit of a boost in terms of credibility for that. So newsletters, another way I'm reaching folks, and then shows like this, right? It's a big family reunion of sorts for me. I've been in the industry for so long. I'm running into folks that I've known for over a decade now, and meeting new people I met just before this with an individual I just met online, and we got to meet face to face for the first time. And so these are great ways to come together and meet folks, and just kind of keep getting the word out. Those are my primary methodologies at this point.
Nice. And shows like this, obviously there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of understanding what people do. I mean, what is your primary goal going to these shows? Like, what are you trying to take away? Like, what is your measure of success at like a show like this?
No, good question. I have primarily two. First would be, well, maybe not in order, but is just connections with people. I'm a relationship connector kind of a guy, which is much of what I like about the consulting side. I use a phrase all the time, I know a guy. You know, just to say like, I'm not an expert in everything.
Yeah.
Don't pretend to be. I do a thing. And many times the client needs to start going outside of my swim lane.
Out of scope, yeah.
And I know a guy,
Sure.
right? So I connect a lot of people. I really enjoy that, and these shows are great for that. I meet with folks that are in wildly different industries, sectors, and technology subject matter experts.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time at these shows with meetings.
Yeah.
My second goal for coming to these things is I come with a list of knowledge of things my clients are looking for. Technology, skill sets of people I could maybe connect them with, and those things. And so I'm out shopping, connecting, mostly because of my time commitment and availability with having so many meetings.
Yeah.
I'm taking brochures, taking business cards, and following up with technology provider and booth providers later.
Yeah.
I don't spend too much time at the booths, but that's
Gotcha.
that's kind of how I spend my time here.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to have a plan, right? I mean, to go in here kind of blind or just saying, oh, I'm just going to just walk the floor. I mean, yes, have a goal in mind. You know, I want to see this specific type of company. Like I know this year, something I still have to do today is we're looking for like some fixed wing solutions, right? So yeah, like I said, going around, grabbing paper, of course, you know, you can introduce yourself, or if you're just, you know, grabbing some information and following up later, that's also fine. So that's great. I mean, as far as your focus, let's say the next 2, 3, 5 years, I mean, where do you see just the industry evolving, especially on the consultancy side? Where do you see some of those opportunities opening up for you and maybe anyone else that wants to get into consulting?
Sure. Yeah, crystal ball question, so probably going to be wrong, right? The defense market continues to look to have growth to it.
Sure.
And so that's an area that's growing, and drones are becoming a bigger and bigger part of that.
Yeah.
So that market looks like it has some growth in it, but it's a fickle market in the sense that it's digital, it's on and off sometimes.
Yeah.
And so from a business perspective, it can be a hard thing to be solo in.
Yeah.
It also can be a hard thing to be a dual purpose company and really truly serve both.
Yeah.
But it's a business decision, and there's challenges either way. On the commercial side, what I'm finding at the show here today, and kind of my thoughts were, things are maturing, right? I've kind of noticed from coming to this and other shows over the past many years. Things look more professional now than X number of years back.
Sure.
Even than just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
There's fewer science projects being on display and being shown. Product that is on the booth looks well manufactured.
Proven technology.
It's put together well.
Yeah.
Several years ago there was more poster boards. Concepts of this is what we could do.
Sure.
And now this is what we have done.
Gotcha.
And so that's great. I think that's good for the industry. That'll give everybody confidence. That'll give the user base confidence. It gives the consumer base, those that are hiring those drone services, to use that data, confidence in, I think maybe drones can really help our enterprise. So that's good. The regulatory environment is helping. Not there yet. There's a lot of work to be done to safely manage more industrial flying, to allow more cost-effective data collection. So there's some things coming down the road. We'll see what the results are with 108 and some other things on the small side. But I think there's just going to be more and more of this in the commercial space. I think one-to-many is going to be an enabler. The regulatory side has got to come up with some solutions and availabilities for that. But that will be an enabler from a cost perspective of really unmanning the data collection. Right now, one-to-one, there's still a lot of people getting the job done. And that's the largest, it's a large cost factor. So.
Got to adjust those things, and it kind of gets into like the whole automation, conversation as well. I guess going back to becoming a successful consultant, have you seen people like make that transition from service provider to consultant? Like, what are some of those first couple of things that you would suggest? And really, like, also learning, right? Like, how do you keep up to date with all the technology out there? Like, how do you choose like what to focus on? Are there certain publications that you follow? Like, how do you keep yourself just in the know, because they come to you for advice, right? They expect you to know, the latest and greatest. So how do you keep yourself on that?
Yeah, okay. I think there's 2 questions there.
Yeah.
Last one was how do I keep up to date? So that is, this event helps, right? Meeting with people, hearing what they're working on, hearing that stuff, seeing the booths, and then just consuming information. Reading podcasts are great, and videos and those types of things. Demo days are great ways to really see what's real. Right, it's in the air. So those are all ways that I've leveraged to kind of keep up to date with the technologies. And then on the business side, also reading and just kind of following certain people that are sharing
influencer type,
kind of what they're finding works.
LinkedIn.
In those kind of spaces. Forgot what the first question was.
So it's really just about that transition from service provider to consultant.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think some advice I'd probably give would be, and I give this to my clients, especially drone service providers, is I use a phrase, niche down and go deep. So be really, really, really good at a thing. Be the best at a thing. Right? That way, everybody in that, with that need in that vertical, in that use case, you're just the one to go to. Because you've got the whole workflow figured out. So what I mean by going deep then is understand everything about that workflow. So collecting the data is a part. Right? How do I fly efficiently? How do I collect the data efficiently? But once you got the data, what value can you add into the enterprise with that data? So you can give them a bunch of LAS files, or can you provide them actionable reports that their maintenance crews just get on Wednesday in the trucks on email, and they just go to town.
Value add.
Where's your value in that? And understanding the customer's pain points and environment and like speaking their language, right? I work with a lot of different verticals, and utility workers and underground miners and defense folks have a whole different language set, right? And they will judge you based on if you're speaking their language. You go to speak to a mining customer and you're not speaking the right words. You
don't know,
You're not calling the things the things. You get sniffed out pretty quick. So you got to go deep. You got to speak the language. You got to adjust your marketing appropriately, right? Your imagery needs to reflect their stuff. And so to make that transition, if one were to consider making that transition, is use your experience as a provider in a niche as your value for teaching the enterprise or managing the enterprise maybe on how to get it done for themselves, right? I know how to fly power lines, so to a utility, maybe you're a great asset to them to bring up a drone program for power line flights. Those kind of things, because you've got the scars to
position yourself and all that.
So leverage your experience and niche down, go deep.
Gotcha. One of the things we talk about a lot, with consultancy is, you just brought it up about, identifying those pain points. And, even us, we drill down that a lot, and we say, hey, get those pain points, identify those pain points. It's not always easy to realize that, right? Especially if it's not an exercise you've done before. So how do you actually specifically find out the pain points of your clients? Are there specific questions you ask, or how do you go about that? Starts with the relationship, right? Like anything, to learn about somebody, you got to have a relationship. And it's gonna, so mutual respect, and all those types of things. So it's a process. And you got to be curious. Got to be not afraid to ask. I don't understand. What does that word mean?
I don't understand. Why are we doing that? And they need to be, you got to find those partners that are willing to bring you alongside, take you in the office, show you the workflow for the processing, take you to, this is the software we use, these are all the button clicks we do, and in your mind, like, that's a lot of button clicks, how can we fix that up,
How do we simplify?
So I think build relationships, so you got to be personable, you got to find those people that will take you under the wing and let you be exposed, and be willing to kind of go out there and be vulnerable with, I don't know what that means. Can you explain it, right?
Yeah.
Because, again, humming and hawing through it, nodding, they're going to sniff it out, and you're not going to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But you got to be curious, because like anything, when you're speaking to somebody who's deep into a topic, it's secondhand to them, and they don't think to start at zero. They start where they're at, and they just explain it. But you may not, so you need to start at zero, work your way up, and just be curious.
Great advice. And one more question, and then maybe we'll switch roles. I know maybe have a few questions for myself as well. But one of the biggest challenges with drone entrepreneurs, no matter if you're a service provider or a consultant, is pricing. So how do you approach packaging your services? To tell us specifics about pricing, but how do you go about pricing your work, and what are those factors that people should consider?
It's a hard question, really hard question, and it's hard to really figure out. So I've done a few different things over the 2.5 years. I have found fractional roles are working really well for me and my clients, and that means not doing problem solving or project-based support, but a part-time member of the team with a specific narrow scope of expertise that I provide.
Gotcha.
And I'm with them for a prolonged period of time to get through building a go-to-market strategy, or understanding how to bring up a drone program, or accessing a new market, foreign or domestic or vertical, and going through those processes. And so by fractional, I just mean what I find is small companies, they still need those things, but they don't have justification for a full-time person to do that, right? Everyone's wearing 7 hats in a small company, right? But they need that specific access to all of these people that just my experience and career has afforded me. And so by fractionally helping them, 4 hours a week, 8 hours a week, 10 hours a month, kind of whatever fits, able to kind of come along and kind of nurture things along, and do that. And so that's for me, it's a retainer style, flat month fee, with caveats on if things get long and hard and heavy for a prolonged period of time, then we can have conversations. But the idea being with that is I've been able to reserve my time with that, so it protects. I don't get overloaded for the client, right? So they have my full attention for a block. So it's great there, and there's high months and low months, and that's just part of the thing, and it all evens out. And if it doesn't, then we have conversations and we just make sure it works for the client, right? Nice. So that's what I'm finding works really well. Not all cases end up that way, but that's what I'm working towards.
Case by case, no, definitely. I mean, and the more clients you take on, the more you learn. I know for me specifically, I learn a lot about the type of clients I like to work with and the type of clients I don't like to work with, right? And that just kind of frames, how you go all along. So that's been really, really great insight into the operations of a consultant. And open for any questions, maybe switch gears a little bit about that you may have for me as well.
I guess I'm just kind of curious on your side with all the coaching work, kind of how do you do your pricing and how do you do your things, and kind of what's your side of that?
So what I always believe in is like not reinventing the wheel when it comes to what others are doing and kind of what has worked. For me, I got into the whole coaching thing from looking at coaches in other industries, right? So fitness coaches, writing coaches. I mean, there's so many different industries and examples out there. And I actually looked around and I saw like there's no drone business coach, out there. So what does that look like? What does that feel like? What services do you provide? So yeah, a lot of it has been based off of other examples out there. I think that's important for other service providers and consultants to, what is the industry standard? What is the industry looking for? Testing, as well. Just asking people, hey, like, I'm going to be providing this service. Do you think this is, worth it? What would you pay for something like this? Is a pretty straightforward, question. And just kind of understanding like there are specific needs and budget capabilities. So a lot of times, we are flexible with, payment plans. We'll say, hey, this is the total cost, for the program. And then if you want to split it up, kind of go from there. So we try to be as flexible as we can, but obviously, it's a business and we got to make money.
Right.
So.
Yes, indeed. There's always that.
Definitely.
One of the things I've liked about kind of every time I get to talk about the stuff you're doing is your international exposure. And that's really hard to do as a small organization to have footprints in entirely different continents and cultures and all that.
Sure.
So I'd be curious, as a small business, kind of how does that how does that work out? And how did you kind of come across those opportunities internationally?
So I would say first, the vision has always kind of been there, right? From our name Global, so we've always had visions of like, being international. For me, I have a Nigerian father, so I've always kind of been exposed to international opportunities. A quick kind of story on how this all, unfolded. So back in 2017, I believe, was when we had the big Hurricane Maria that, came and pretty much wiped out everything in Puerto Rico. It had, hit the States as well, but it was also after another hurricane. I think Harvey was like the same year, where it was like, two major storms that came back to back. So what happened was, there was a lot of calls for drone pilots to help out in Texas, Harvey and everything on the southern board. And then Maria came and wiped out everything in Puerto Rico. So I literally said to myself, everyone's attention is on the States right now, clean up there. I don't know who's going to be up and jumping up to Puerto Rico. Like, it sounds like it's just going to be a lot. And there's probably as much of a need there, seeing as though literally saying they've wiped out 100% of the grid. So for me, it was just like, all right, putting two and two together. So I went down there, literally like found an Airbnb. The guy like messaged me. He said, hey, just so you know, there's no lights here. It's totally, and at that point, I guess I was just so hungry. I was like, man, this is going to lead to something. That's a good opportunity. So I went down there, and for a few days, I just, went around with Drone Deploy. This is when Drone Deploy was like $90 a month, right? It's like way more now. But did some mapping, found a few like first responders, and I literally gave them some 2D models, some 3Ds, and just said, hey, like this is here, you can use for, planning and restructuring and things like that. So that was a pretty cool story. Came back to Baltimore, and a local news, agency kind of picked it up. They ran a story, with it. And about a week or two later, I was invited to speak at an event at the Smithsonian in DC. It was a pretty cool event, and they just wanted kind of some STEM speakers to come out. So fast forward, at that event, there was a representative from the State Department, and he came up and said, hey, like, you have a really cool story. I like what you're doing, of course, to Puerto Rico, and then also what you said about international Nigeria. Are you interested in doing workshops in our local embassies, in other countries? So, of course, I said, yeah. And the first two countries that they asked me to do a workshop in was Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan. Places I couldn't even spell before I heard about it. So basically, we went out and they paid us to do a training, a quick kind of STEM training on drones. And from there, the ball started rolling. And once you do something well in, one place and you're able to display it, kind of the sparks, kick off from there. But I tell that story because, like, I didn't know that the international opportunities were going to come from me going to Puerto Rico, right? I knew something could probably come from it. I felt really good about it, but you never know like where these opportunities lead, right? So if something comes up, take the opportunity. You know, don't second guess yourself too much, and just take those risks. You know?
I think that's really important, especially in the beginning, to put yourself out there, and follow through on kind of a hunch, right? Find the need, and just kind of go for it a little bit, right? And see. And I think there's in business there's the term pivot, but really it just means following the opportunities, right?
And evolving.
And so I think I was going to do this. You started off doing drone piloting, service providing basically, and that led into something different, and and that's your focus now.
Exactly.
And so I think that's an important thing as entrepreneurs in the early stages in this space, is just get in there. Your credibility obviously was what kind of got you to the Smithsonian, got you to the embassy. So credibility matters. It's a small community. So be careful. Right. And build accordingly. And I think that's awesome how it just kind of took you in there, and being willing to go to do projects or places that probably weren't on your radar.
Not at all.
Like, this is where I want to go. But led you to two things, and then now you're working in places that are near to your heart too, right?
Exactly. Following the passion, for sure. No, it's really important. One of the things we always say is, luck is like the intersection of hard work and opportunity. So when you put yourself in these situations, when you take opportunities, some lucky opportunity is going to come by, and it's only because you place yourself there, right? You position yourself there. So it's really, really important to keep those things in mind. And I guess as we kind of wrap up a bit, any kind of last advice or kind of parting words you have for anyone that's just looking to develop, grow their business, and kind of just go deeper into the industry?
I think in general, like, find something that is a good fit, and that you enjoy the people and the space in, right? Don't just get into it because it seems like it's a profitable market or those types of things. It probably won't be for a few years, right? And so you gotta love it, you gotta like it, and find something about it that is passionate for you. So it's still gonna be hard. Every job has its tough parts, whether you're an employee or an owner of a small company. But you gotta like an aspect of it or two.
Absolutely.
So dive into that and figure out what you want to be doing, and kind of follow that to see where it goes. But make sure you're doing the things you like. Is my perspective. And not just follow to create a business that you're going crazy in. Enjoy what you're doing.
Gotta find a passion for sure. And where can we find you? On website, LinkedIn? Can you tell us?
Absolutely. Thank you. So website, clarifyconsultingllc.com. One word. That's website. I'm on LinkedIn, Daniel D. Fuller. On there as well. My newsletter is Beyond the Fog, also on my profile on LinkedIn.
Nice.
Those are the primary spots, and or tap me on the shoulder at these kind of events, and I love those kind of moments as well.
Interaction, absolutely. Well, this has been a great conversation. Really appreciate you coming by. Level Up Lounge. This is what we're doing here at the Commercial UAV Show 2024. This is the 10th edition, and we look forward to more opportunities and more ways to connect. So give us a shout, give us a follow. We're here to help with any needs that you have out there. But really appreciate you coming by, Daniel.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity. Great conversation.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. Thank you guys. See you again.
Bye.
All right.